Hey everyone, Internet Vicious Book Reader here. Today I want to talk about today how toxic fashion is making us sick and how we can fight back by Alden Weaker. I think it's no longer hidden knowledge that climate change has started affecting the world, even if like just a few months ago, a flight turbulence got so bad that a passenger was flung into cabin bag compartment, which as far as I know has never happened before. And one of the biggest contribution of this is fashion. Yes, a big chunk of it was from fast fashion, but even outside of fast fashion, fashion in general contributed a lot to our carbon emission, contributing 10% of the overall pie. I know some things like the cotton production and how much water it guzzles, but I want to learn more about the details and see if there's anything I miss. If the world is burning, I want to at least know how it burns in great detail. So when I saw the title of the book, I took it thinking it is about that, but it's not. The book focuses on how toxic the chemicals used in clothing can be. It's a topic that I barely know about, so I'm glad I got it. The book starts with the author's journey to a new remote place in Phoenix, Arizona. Her destination is a place that, just like the author's mother, had to move to a different location because their immune system built a chemical sensitivity that makes it impossible to live a life where they were. The target of her interview is a flight attendant that was poisoned by her chemicals in her work uniform and sued the company she works for. And this case is one among thousands that came from 2011, with some still got ongoing into headlines last year. Some things just refuse to change. Fashion is one of the industries that produces the most toxicity. Some studies show strong correlation between cancer and pesticide use in India and US and other countries that are using pesticide in their cotton farms. The health issue then goes beyond the farm that produce the material and into the places that process the material. Textile mills cause a lot of skin and breathing issues, and leather mills have their own major health hazard. And while a lot of scrutiny is focused rightfully on fast fashion, but even giant non-fast fashion clothing stores like Giorgio Armani, Calvin Klein, and H&M falls victim to the same problem too with how much toxic are used in their products. It's an industry that use and produce so much toxic that in China, a third of the source of water pollution there can be contributed to only the fashion industry. And these toxic material are what eventually had to go to the hand of garment worker laborers, one of the sections of the industry that is not helped at all by any tech and definitely is not helped by AI. These are manual labors where people will need to hunt for hours in the worst environment. The worst example of this is the Rana Plaza disaster on Bangladesh that killed thousands of its workers. And unfortunately, this is still the norm of the worker, which is why the term sweatshop is still used for them. And this toxicity reaches not only through the entire process of making fashion, but also to the end user products, the clothing that we are wearing. But even despite the fact that there are cases that manage to win court cases and prove that the clothing they wear poisoned them, a lot of people seem to be unaware of any information and the complexity that caused this. So the author went on a journey to find out more and hopefully find some answer and even maybe some solution on where we can go from there. The book goes to a lot of cases of flight attendants. The author even interviewed individuals who are affected by the poison they are wearing to study the chemicals that are responsible for poisoning them. I think a lot of these cases flew under the radar because it's hard for us to see flight attendants as victims since we associate so much of their image into people traveling and going on holiday. I think that's why also a lot of flight attendants, once they retire, go to organizations that fight not only for their safety and rights, but also the safety of the passengers. Back in the 70s, flight industry used to spray pesticide inside plane in between flights. Not because of the AFA that fight to change regulation to stop that, we might go on flying inside a vacuum-sealed pesticide poison. Judith Anderson, who have worked for them, is one of these who eventually received information about the toxic uniform case from Alaska Airlines flight attendants, with abnormally swollen eyes and rash on their entire body. The source of the problem seems to come from the Twin Hill company that use so much formaldehyde and even Teflon coating which make them stain-proof. The company made some excuse that there were no foreign chemicals, which is just marketing jargon to avoid legal responsibility, but one of the main causes of the poison is a contamination of tributyl phosphate during the uniform transit, a poisonous chemical that surprisingly is used in tons of fashion industry as wetting agent and solvent. It's one of the main sources of pollution in Yangtze River in China. A lot of fashion industry use these chemicals in different dosages, but at least for us we have a choice to not wear the clothing when it poisons us. But for the flight attendant back then, the AFA and Anderson had to fight really hard just to make the airlines stop forcing their flight attendants to wear this poisonous uniform. They were throwing responsibility left and right, from blaming the victims and using legal jargon like individual sensitivity and making the FA goes through one organization to another to another. Anderson managed to get in touch with one of the flight attendants that sent his uniform that caused him an epileptic shock and almost killed him a few times. Through analyzing the uniform with the help of the University of Washington, they found 97 different chemical compounds from the fabric. Some of it includes excessive level of lead and arsenic that most people know are poisonous. Then they also found cobalt and antimony that is known to cause allergic reaction, and even dimethyl fumarate, an antifungal that has been banned from Europe because it is such a health risk, and hexavalent chromium, a carcinogenic heavy metal that needs extra safety equipment in handling them. While most of these chemicals are not high enough to make them dangerous alone, but the combination of all of them can definitely cause all the poisoning incidents that flight attendants have. But the manufacturer and the flight are still unwilling to take responsibility because they only care about the dosage of each chemical and not the interaction of them, which yes sounds crazy if you ever heard the term of chemical reaction. So in desperation, Anderson sent the remaining uniform to Hohenstein Institute in Germany, that is one of the most respected labs in the field of textile toxicity. She even found a researcher in Harvard that has been researching the topic for years and contacted them. She went above and beyond for these flight attendants. And this is not an isolated incident too. Later on, Delta and American Airlines also had the same problem because they used the same cheap clothing from the same company that manufactured their clothing in places that don't really monitor their chemical usage. And this problem goes beyond just the uniform for flight attendants. Chemical usage in our clothing are also rarely monitored. Around 2021, the author Matt Jacqueline, who worked as some kind of an in-between between clothing brands and the material manufacturer, she started to get some skin condition that she tested and found out came from all the chemicals from the clothing materials she took care of and the factory it came from. She ignored it because it's the only job she knows that she has been doing basically her entire life, and it's just a skin condition anyway. But ignoring it eventually put her on a hospital bed because her appendix burst. She got back to work and got back again to the hospital for the second time, then go back to work again because there's nothing else she could do until she was fired during COVID. Then in 2022, Professor Heather Stapleton, who worked as an environment chemist, bought a shirt for her son who got a major allergic reaction. After saving her son, she took the shirt to make sure what caused it and eventually found the cause of the reaction to be from azodite. And she eventually teamed with Dr. Kristen Overdahl to study them. Azodite is such a dangerous chemical because a lot of them can go airborne into house dust that become health hazard that was banned in several countries. But since the fashion industry are built in places where this regulation don't exist and they don't need to warn people that they use them since that's bad marketing, a lot of them use azodite to color their products, even black shirt. And worse, black shirt actually can use more variation of colors. And unfortunately, the reason a ton of the industry, even branded one, are using it is because they are cheap, and to make clothing that don't contain them are more expensive, sometimes even much pricier. That's why for some people it is much harder to buy clothes, especially for their growing kids. And threads and colors are not the only things that have problem, even leather does. Since the era or where tall hat in Old England were using mercuries, tanneries had their share of problems that got worse as time goes. The leather themselves smells like dead animals and attract the disease that corpses bring. But then you add the chemicals they use to process leather that usually can pull into a nearby body of water looking like scum. It contaminated the water so much that there are places near tanneries where their drinking water is flammable. And of course they're toxic. The community of tanneries, most of them died of a disease from the many reasons that make tanneries a toxic place. It's just a dice roll to see which one will get to them first before the other. And synthetic leather, fake leather or vegan leather are not better. If anything, they are worse in some way because they use even more questionable chemicals. Then, because they want to make better cotton clothing, the fashion industry added CA or PFOA or PFAS to prevent stain and crinkle. This chemical used to be used in Teflon until they were found to cause cancer. PFOA also lasts so long that they're basically there forever, that's why they are called the forever chemical. Maybe thinking that they are safe because people don't eat their clothing, the fashion industry decided to use them on most everything. But even without consuming them, being on constant proximity with them and having them go airborne into house dust, like all the other chemicals we mentioned so far, can also cause health hazard. Combined with how immortal this chemical is, it goes on to become in most people's body at America, but it's not just America. It has gone to even a place as remote as Arctic, and rainwater contain them. And these are all only a few chemicals that we know that the industry use and still use. There are so much more chemicals that we don't know what kind of combination they did to create some fabric effect or color, that we might never know what was made using what, because some of them they call company secret and then they left it as "trust us bro, it's safe to use." And yes, these are mostly from allergic reaction, which can be quite rare, but the thing with immune system is that if it's your favorite outfit you wear long enough and often enough, it chips away at your immune system little by little until it has decided to overreact to the chemicals it detected. It is giving its wearer autoimmune disease, and when it got into you, currently it is still hard to get the diagnosis because this is old symptoms with new causes that is caused by modern way the clothing are made. And counterfeit is even worse because, again, just like leather, they're using the cheapest way to produce their clothing so they can still get some benefit from selling the cheapest clothing. So they're using a lot of questionable chemicals. The book is an amazing piece of journalism, going through different people on different cases at different countries, then combine it with scientific studies from all over the place. It can get very technical in some segment, which I'm sure y'all can see from the video so far, and the book had more of that, which I don't mind because it is necessary. But the way it is written can sometimes go a bit all over the place, especially in segments that went to the past in 1800. It also went back and forth between the issue in fabric, dyes, leather, etc. It doesn't have the cleanest structure. But despite that, it did a great job showing that currently the main problem is that unlike foods that we eat, clothing doesn't have victims that go to a high enough number to be noticed to mainstream level. So unlike food that got its nutritional value in every product, fashion can hide every chemicals put into it from the consumer. We don't truly have a choice in what we're wearing. While there is still so much that the billion-dollar fashion industry needed to do, we have some progress. There is zero discharge of hazardous chemical that pushed the industry to do better, pushed by Greenpeace, and tons of fashion retailers has signed, including Levi, Adidas, Nike, and more. Which yes, only just ban certain specific chemicals, so that list really need to be updated, along with all the other mess need to be fixed while at it. The best way for now, as usual, dealing with the problem caused by these billion-dollar companies is unfortunately still on us to be more aware. Avoid questionable knockoff, unknown brand, and fast fashion brand. There are a lot of things that the book lists, even buying from second-hand bookstore, but confusingly, there doesn't seem to be anything about buy less, which is the biggest thing you can do as an adult. The book is a good start at raising awareness on this, because with more people knowing, more people will push for the industry to do better, whether it's with their wallet or with their voice. I give this a 3.75. What do you think? Let me know if I miss anything, so leave your thoughts in the comment below and subscribe to the channel. That's about it. See ya.